Okay, good morning, everyone. 9 a.m. This is Monday, May 3rd, 2021. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Town of Fort Myers Beach Town Council. All members are present this morning: town manager, town attorney, town clerk, members of the public, and members of the LCSO. We'll stand as always, and we'll begin with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
We are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Next item is the approval of the final agenda.
Move to approve the final agenda.
Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is public comment. Madam Clerk.
I have nobody signed up.
Who would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. My name is Lieutenant Alan Canfield, Lee County Sheriff's Office. Today I'm here accompanied by the West District Commander, Captain Layler, and my manager of Community Outreach Centers, Misty Boyer. I wanted to speak to you for just a brief moment this morning on the operational status of the Outreach Center currently located on Fort Myers Beach. I wanted to give you a brief summary of the success of that Outreach Center. Lastly, I wanted to discuss give you an overview of our attempts to relocate that Outreach Center. April 30th, the Outreach Center closed. TPI is going to begin their construction, as we all know. We at the Sheriff's Office thank them for the time that they gave us in that Outreach Center. But it is closed. We will be out of that facility by the 15th. A little bit about the success of that Outreach Center. For the short time that it was located on Fort Myers Beach, over 2,500 of our residents and visitors passed through that Outreach Center. It's an amazing, amazing number when you think that it just opened in September of last year. Response from the community has been amazing. You know that many people do not get a chance to interact with law enforcement except either on a call for service, needing help, or on a criminal matter. The sheriff has placed these outreach centers around the county to give residents an opportunity to interact with law enforcement on something other than a criminal or call for service matter. Visitors to the outreach center on Fort Myers Beach and tourists that also visited came in for various reasons. They came in to get visitors guides. They came in to get trolley information. They came in to get different programs offered by the Lee County Sheriff's Office. While we were in that facility since September, we held 17 events, just coffee with a cop. We gave a chance to the Fort Myers Beach Marines Resource Task Force. We also made the facility available to the Fort Myers Beach Chamber of Commerce for their monthly coffee program. The Outreach Center, in that brief period of time, had the ability to work with the Dog House, Quickie Scooters and Bikes, Salty Crab, Mom's Restaurant, and Mojo's Coffee Bar, just to name of the few businesses that we interacted with and that reached out to us while we were there for that short period of time. We support our civic partners and our religious partners in the community. And during that brief period of time that we were located at that facility, we were in contact with the Fort Myers Beach Baptist Church, St. Peter's Lutheran Church, Monastery of St. Clair. Kiwanis Club reached out to us, the Rotary Club reached out to us, and the Lee County Homeless Coalition. In addition, we had activity with Best Buddies, United Way, Fort Myers Beach Women's Club, and Kimmy's Recovery Zone. The Outreach Center has worked with the following government partners at that location: Lee County Tax Collector, the Lee County Human and Veteran Services, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a minute. The Florida Highway Patrol reached out to us while we were there, and the Department of Children and Family Services. I wanted to take just 1 minute of your time and talk to you about a couple notable walk-ins while that outreach center was open. We had a distressed military and former law enforcement veteran who sought shelter at the Fort Myers Beach Outreach Center and waited for Lee County Sheriff's Office deputies to respond. The outreach coordinator at the time provided him with some mental health and substance abuse information that we keep at the outreach center, along with some compassionate conversation until additional services could arrive. We have local homeless that frequent the outreach center. They share crime trends with us, and we provide assistance to them on their behalf. We direct those in need to various social services, as well as provide them with a care package when they leave. A local woman sought out the shelter after a domestic violence incident that occurred in the community. Our patrol responded to the outreach center to assist that woman, but while she was there, we gave her a place to sit, air conditioning, provided water, and compassionate conversation. Where do we go from here? Site search began immediately when we got our 30-day notice from TPI. We have reached out to Parks and Rec. We have reached out to our private partners, looking at storefronts and restaurants that may be abandoned that might be available. We've even gone so far as to talk to owners of private parking lots. We remain hopeful. At this time, we do not have a site available for an outreach center. I wanted to share all that with you today and let you know that our site search continues, and any help that could be provided to us by the town would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Lieutenant before he leaves?
We normally don't interact, but I do have a bit of information that he may not be aware of, maybe before you were involved. I know that some years ago, the Beach Baptist Church offered, before you were at this location, to house you at their facility. So I would suggest that you contact Pastor Kritzer and see if that offer still is available.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thanks for coming in.
I just had, since we've opened up the questions, I just had just more of a comment, and we've not discussed this at length at the council, although it's certainly come before us a number of times. If we decide to move forward with the community policing concept, it may impact your location selection and strategy going forward. So please know that that's an issue that's still live here with the council, and hopefully we could move forward on that issue at some point as well.
I'm aware of that. I would just hate to lose valuable time. We've made such a notable impact in the community.
Agree.
Our doors are closed.
Very good. Yep.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in. Captain, Manager. Okay, the next item is local achievements and recognitions. Down with you, Councilman Allers.
Nothing this week, Mayor.
Mayor?
I just want to recognize the Chamber of Commerce and all of the volunteers. Mr. Allers, I know, spent a great deal of time helping with Taste of the Beach yesterday. It's a wonderful event that we have, and I know it takes them a ton of work to put it on, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. I would echo your comments as well, and Vice Mayor is being humble. She was a volunteer herself as a judge, as I was, and we had a great time. So I congratulate the Chamber, all of the volunteers and so forth. I also want to recognize the Beach Baptist Church, as long as we're the Baptists on our mind here this morning, putting on the vaccinations down at the church. We received our second one there last week, so and it was as smooth as silk. In the Florida Department of Health and the contractors that they have and so forth. So a big thank you to Pastor Sean and Forrest and Johnette down there and their volunteers. They did a great job. And also a reminder, while I'm on the subject, that the second shot for the Pfizer is going to be at the Church of the Ascension this week on Thursday. for those that received their first shot on April the 15th. So all those folks who received that, I'm sure they're aware of it, they have their cards, and I'm sure there'll be other shots available if anybody wants to come down and get their first or second shot. That's all I have for now. Councilman Adderholt.
Good morning. Just a quick heads up, Amy, I'm hearing from folks that the YouTube's having challenges, but it is working on channel 98 for Comcast in case people
We're
have
working on YouTube.
other options. A preliminary recognition to the governor and to the Florida state legislature. They had a very successful budget session when it comes to clean water. Unfortunately, those numbers are a little bit difficult to obtain at this point, so I'll give a much more detailed update at the next meeting. But I think the news is potentially really good on the funding levels for the various Everglades restoration projects. I'm hearing really good things on the federal level as well. So particularly now that the state is completed their business, keep those cards and letters going to your federal members of Congress and as well as the United States senators from around the country. But more details to follow. Thank you.
Councilman Veach.
Yeah, I'd like to just acknowledge the Garden Club, the volunteers and town staff for preparing the site of Palermo for the native plant demonstration garden. They'll be putting in plants according to a design they've come up with on Thursday.
Okay. Next item is, on the agenda is advisory committee items and reports. Are there any members from any advisory boards here? Oh. The next item is approval of minutes. These are the draft minutes of the April 19th, 2021 Town Council meeting. Is there a motion to approve this draft?
Move to approve.
Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, additions, corrections, anything? Hearing none, hearing no objection, the motion carries unanimously. Next item is consent agenda. There's only one item on this. Is the HBK Financial Services Agreement to authorize the town manager to execute an additional agreement with HBK CPAs and Consultants for financial services in the not-to-exceed amount of $25,000. If there's a motion to approve the consent agenda, we'll move on. If anybody...
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Mr. Mayor, just
Yes,
have
sir.
some questions for the town manager. Is this firm working in lieu of a finance director?
Yes.
And is there a potential timeline? Is it just the next person can be employed? Is that sort of the goal, is the length of this firm?
Yes, we have recruitment underway, we're conducting interviews, find a suitable candidate of a transition, and the firm would phase out.
And then who does the firm interface with? Is there an assistant finance director that's the full-time employee of the town? Or is it, okay. And then what's the status of the audit, and when would that be presented to the audit committee?
The status of the audit is that I believe they've told us 3 times they had everything, and then 3 times they've come back and asked for more information.
They meaning the state?
They, meaning the
Audit firm.
audit firm. My understanding at this point that they have everything, they're waiting, I think, on just one letter from the attorney. And as far as I know, at that point, they will have everything. And when they tell us they're ready, and by ready, I mean they would submit a draft copy of the audit to us, and we'll schedule that meeting.
From a practical standpoint, how does this consulting firm work? How do they do this job? Do they literally show up here at Town Hall, and is there a person assigned to the
There's
town?
2 people assigned, and they show up typically about 3 days a week.
That's all I have. Thank you.
You hit my questions. I was interested about the status of the audit as well, and when it was going to come to the audit committee. They're anxious to see it. Okay, any other discussion? Any objection to the motion? The motion carries unanimously. Okay, the next item is the public hearing, and this is the continued hearing of ordinance 21-02, the Myerside PPD rezoning, DCI 2020-0009. Mr. Attorney, do we have to move to reopen this or anything like that?
Yes,
or-
that would be the appropriate thing is to reopen it, just to, so I'll allow you all to make a motion to reopen the public hearing because it is quasi-judicial in nature, and then we'll swear in the witnesses.
Motion to
I'll move to reopen, Mr. Mayor.
Second,
move and second, discussion?
Now, is there any particular phase of this hearing that we're involved in?
Yeah, we'll, in abundance of caution, well, I think there's a motion and a second on the table, so.
We're discussing it.
So the, at this point in time, pursuant to your direction, we have prepared a draft ordinance, plugging in all the empty spots that was in the draft on first reading. You all saw it on, and then on second reading, we plugged those in. We've reviewed the tape. We've confirmed that what's in the ordinance in the package is consistent with what the council's direction was. Myself and Mr. Green met with the applicant for better part of three and a half hours last week to go over the ordinance. We, as staff, indicated to the applicant that there were some areas that they had some questions or concerns that we revised, and it's in the document. For example, you all approved the alcoholic use, the COP, in the first draft that had been provided to you at the last meeting. That wasn't there. I took responsibility for that, together with the appropriate deviation, the distance separation, so we put those in. Those are a couple of things that we agreed, and we can go through them one by one if necessary. I think, again, they're consistent with what you all told us. I think the one thing that we changed that was a blank in one of the original drafts was the rear side, the rear setbacks, based upon the conversations with Mr. Green and the applicant. Mr. Green informed me and the applicant that because of the site configuration, there are no rear setbacks, so that was removed. Other than that, it's pretty much consistent. It is consistent with what you all directed. The length of conversation, the meeting that we had with the applicant last week was their concerns with regards to some of the conditions. They still have those concerns. I'm sure they're here to speak to that if the council wants to give them the opportunity to speak to that. The public hearing technically has been closed. You have the ability to reopen it if that's what you wish. But at this point in time, it's looking at the document to make sure it's reflective of the conditions of approval. That's where I understand it's at.
Now, we have to reopen the public hearing to allow them to offer a reconsideration for the
Well,
conditions?
if they're gonna offer substantive comment, if it's just an issue of the language as they're represented by council, the comments of council don't count towards, judicial hearing. They're just comments of council, just as mine are to you as advice, and you all then decide what you want to do with those conditions. They indicated, Mr. Green and myself, during that conversation, that there were some conditions, for example, the one regarding the replacement of the specimen tree requirement, the in-kind replacement, that for them potentially is a make or break, as well as the requirement that they contribute a certain amount to the design and construction of the sidewalk. They had indicated their desire to have a cap. We told them we didn't have that cap because we didn't know what it was, but that we would make sure that we weren't going to staff, or as a city, we're not going to require them to build a 12-foot wide. Standard sidewalk is what we were going to hold them to, nothing more, nothing less.
I'm puzzled. We're having all this discussion and we haven't yet reopened the public hearing, so technically none of this is part of the public hearing.
Yeah, but my question too is just what does reopening mean? Are we
I think we have to reopen it in order to vote, right, Mr. Heron?
Yes, you.
We have to reopen.
Yeah, so there's no debate about
I
it.
agree with everything that's been said. I would just also suggest, Amy, the YouTube is still not working, and you may want to just, while we're wrestling with all this? Maybe, is it something that's fixable? Should we take a break? Well, because I know a lot of folks are trying to watch.
We do need a break, but we need about a 15-minute break to restart the equipment in there.
At the wish of the council to adjourn this for a few minutes?
Could be a little bit less, but
I mean, are we on the town site right now, or are we on
we're
other?
on Comcast is it right now.
We're on Comcast. Can we direct people to Comcast? Imperative that we wait for
If you don't
YouTube?
have Comcast.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think,
yeah,
I
I
think
suppose.
people have become now dependent upon YouTube. I know my wife watches it on Comcast, but I think most folks now watch it on YouTube, and since this is a pretty highly visible case, I would recommend, and I would also encourage just, if during the break, since the applicant has submitted some changes to us, if there's opportunity for the town and the town staff to meet with them and sort out some of these issues before they come to the council, that could save some time as well, because there may be some issues that are not controversial. Just utilize that time value in a valuable way. I think that might be helpful.
Okay, clerk, how long do you think you need for that?
15 minutes or maybe less. At
Okay.
least
Is it
10.
better to break in the middle of a vote, or do we,
Well, we'll just table it for now, if that's a motion.
We can recess.
What I would suggest is that you vote, there's a motion, there's a second, you vote to reopen the matter, and then
Just
recess.
take a break, okay. Okay, so it's been discussed, the motion, is there any objection to the motion to reopen? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Take a 15-minute, if not shorter, break for YouTube.